Imagine a frozen village abandoned overnight, a legendary artist vanishing in a lake's eerie depths, or a family slaughtered in a fiery vendetta. Canada's history hides mysteries so chilling, they'll haunt you long after the screen goes dark. From ghostly disappearances to unsolved murders, we're counting down the 10 unsolved mysteries of Canada that defy logic and demand answers. Which one will keep you up tonight? Let's dive in. 1. The Lost Village of Anjukuni, 1930, Nunavut. This is the story of the lost village of Anjukuni, a chilling enigma from 1930 that still haunts the frozen wilds of Nunavut, Canada. It's November 1930, and fur trapper Joe LaBelle is trudging through the icy desolation near Anjukuni Lake, a remote speck in Canada's far north where the wind howls like a warning. Joe's been here before, trading with a small Inuit village of 25 to 30 souls who eke out a living in this unforgiving wilderness. But as he crests a ridge, his blood runs colder than the snow under his boots. The village is dead silent. No laughter, no dogs barking, nothing. He steps into the cluster of huts, and what he finds makes his heart seize. Kayaks neatly tied to the shore, rifles propped against walls, caribou stew still warm in pots, seal oil lamps flickering, and clothing scattered like someone just walked away mid-task. Every single person, men, women, kids, gone, vanished without a trace. Joe bolts to the nearest telegraph, 50 miles away, and alerts the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. When they arrive, they're as stumped as Joe. No footprints lead away, no signs of struggle, just life frozen in time. Then they find something even weirder. 7 sled dogs, dead, buried under a snowdrift, starved despite food left in the village. Stranger still, a nearby graveyard has been disturbed. Graves opened, bodies missing. The RCMP's official report from 1930, later archived, calls it a voluntary evacuation, suggesting the Inuit migrated. But why leave rifles, food, and clothing in a land where survival hangs by a thread? Theories explode. Some whisper alien abductions, pointing to strange lights locals reported in the sky, a detail echoed in X posts from 2023 digging into UFO lore. Others argue a mass drowning in the lake, but no bodies ever surfaced. A 1990s RCMP review found no evidence of foul play, and Inuit oral histories, shared in a 2018 documentary, lean toward a spiritual exodus, maybe a shaman-led retreat into the wilds. Yet no tracks, no remains, no answers. 2. Thompsons Death, 1917, Ontario. It's July 8, 1917, in the wild, breathtaking expanse of Algonquin Park, Ontario, where Tom Thompson, a 39-year-old Canadian artist whose vibrant paintings of nature were shaping a nation's identity, sets out on Canoe Lake. He's no ordinary painter. He's a rugged outdoorsman, at ease paddling through the wilderness. But that day, something goes terribly wrong. His canoe is found drifting, upright, with his fishing rod and gear untouched. But Tom is gone. 8 days later, his body surfaces, a gash on his temple, blood in his ear, and fishing line wrapped 16 times around his ankle, a detail that screams suspicion. The official coroner's report calls it an accidental drowning. But let's break this down logically. An upright canoe with no signs of capsizing? A head wound that looks like blunt trauma? No autopsy, a rushed burial, and an inquest wrapped up in a single day? Something doesn't add up. Locals in 1917 whispered murder. Maybe Martin Blacher, a volatile man who clashed with Tom over a woman, or Shannon Fraser, a lodge owner who owed Tom money and was seen arguing with him days before. A 1917 Toronto Star article quotes Tom's friends dismissing suicide. He was full of life, not despair. Yet the evidence is frustratingly scarce. A 1956 exhumation found a skull with a hole matching the temple wound, but was it even Tom's? No DNA testing existed then, and by 2025, no new forensic breakthroughs have emerged. X posts from 2023 dig into theories. Some point to a love triangle, others to Algonquin's eerie reputation for strange disappearances. A 2017 Parks Canada report sticks to drowning, citing Tom's drinking that summer. But the fishing line and head trauma raise red flags. Why was the investigation so sloppy? Was it a cover-up to protect someone powerful, like a local businessman or a park official? Or was it just incompetence in a remote area with limited resources? The lack of transparency is maddening. Modern sleuths on X in 2025 call for reopening the case, but the trail is cold. Tom's paintings, now iconic, hang in galleries, immortalizing Canada's wilderness, yet his death, accident, murder, or something else, remains a haunting question mark. This isn't just a mystery. It's a lesson in how truth can slip through the cracks when systems fail to dig deeper. The facts don't lie, but they don't tell the full story either. Somewhere in Canoe Lake's depths, the answer lies buried, and it's up to us to keep questioning, keep searching, until we uncover what really happened to Tom Thompson that fateful summer day.
3. The Donnelly Massacre, 1880, Ontario. It's February 4th, 1880, in the small, tight-knit farming community of Lucan, Ontario, where the Donnelly family, Irish immigrants led by Patriarch James and Matriarch Johanna, have been locked in bitter feuds with neighbors for years. Known as the Black Donnellys, they're blamed for everything from cattle theft to arson, though proof is often shaky. Their enemies, a mix of rival farmers and local toughs, form a shadowy group called the Biddulph Peace Society, hell-bent on driving them out. That snowy night, the tension explodes into horror. A mob storms the Donnelly farm, and by morning, 5 family members, James, Johanna, sons Tom and John, and niece Bridget, are dead. Bludgeoned and hacked with axes, their bodies left in a house torched to ashes. A young farmhand, Johnny O'Connor, hides under a bed and later testifies he saw a dozen men, led by local constable James Carroll, commit the slaughter. The evidence is chilling. Court records from 1880 describe blood-soaked weapons found nearby, footprints in the snow matching local men's boots, and whispers of a vigilante pact. Yet, despite 2 trials, no one is convicted. Why? The community closes ranks, witnesses clam up, alibis materialize, and the Donnellys' bad reputation sways juries. Some say Carroll, a respected figure, orchestrated it to cleanse Lucan of the Donnellys' troublemaking. Others point to personal grudges. The Donnellys' land disputes and alleged crimes made them targets. A 1881 Toronto Globe report hints at a cover-up, noting the sheriff's reluctance to dig deeper. Fast forward to 2025, and ex-posts from true crime buffs keep the case alive, citing old letters and diaries that suggest a wider conspiracy involving prominent townsfolk. No DNA evidence exists. The fire destroyed too much, and modern forensics can't revisit the scene. A 2004 book, The Black Donnellys, argues the vigilantes were emboldened by anti-Irish sentiment, but no smoking gun pins the culprits. Was it mob justice gone wild, or a calculated hit to settle old scores? The lack of convictions screams injustice, exposing how small-town loyalty and prejudice can bury the truth. The Donnellys' graves still stand in Lucan, a grim reminder of a massacre unsolved. This isn't just a crime story. It's a warning about what happens when hatred festers and justice fails. The facts are clear. 5 people were butchered. Their killers walked free. But the why and who remain shrouded in Lucan's shadows. It's up to us to keep questioning, to demand answers, because the Donnellys deserve justice, even 145 years later. And the truth is still out there, waiting to be uncovered.
4. Jerome of Sandy Cove, 1863, Nova Scotia. It's September 8th, 1863, on the rugged shores of Sandy Cove, Nova Scotia, where fishermen stumble across a man washed up on the beach, barely alive, his legs amputated above the knees, his body shivering in the salty wind. He's well-dressed, with neatly trimmed stumps suggesting surgical precision, not an accident. When they try to speak to him, he mutters incoherently, Some say in a foreign tongue, others say it's just gibberish. The locals name him Jerome, after his guttural murmurs, but who he is, where he came from, or how he ended up there, he never tells. For nearly 50 years, he lives in Sandy Cove, cared for by kind families. First the Albrights, and later the Gidneys. In a small attic room, eating molasses and bread, chain-smoking cigars, but never once revealing his past. The evidence is maddeningly thin. An 1863 Digby Courier article describes him as about 30 years old, possibly European, with a gentlemanly bearing. Some locals swore he understood French or Italian, but he'd clam up or growl when pressed. Theories swirl like the tides. Was he a pirate, mutilated and abandoned by his crew? A nobleman exiled for some scandal, his legs cut to hide his identity? Or a sailor dumped after a shipwreck? A 1912 report mentions a bag of gold found near him on the beach, hinting at wealth or payoff, but it vanished before anyone could verify. Ex-posts in 2024 revive wild ideas. Some claim he was a French aristocrat fleeing revolution, others a spy silenced by betrayal. But no records match. The Nova Scotia archives hold letters from locals who cared for him, noting his stubborn silence and occasional violent outbursts when questioned. No DNA, no fingerprints, no modern forensics. His story predates such tech. By the time he died in 1912, still a mystery, the town had spent thousands on his care, funded partly by curious tourists who flocked to see the legless man. A 2019 CBC documentary dug into maritime logs but found no missing persons fitting his profile. Why didn't he speak? Was he mute by choice, trauma, or something darker? The lack of answers exposes how easily a life can vanish into history's cracks. Jerome's grave in Metighan, Nova Scotia, is unmarked. His real name lost to the waves. This isn't just a mystery, it's a challenge to keep questioning, to dig for truth when the world forgets. Somewhere in Sandy Cove's salty air, Jerome's story lingers, daring us to uncover who he was before the sea spat him out.
5. The Montreal Museum Heist, 1972, Quebec. It's September 4th, 1972, in Montreal, Quebec, just after midnight, when three shadowy figures scale the Montreal Museum of Fine Arts roof, exploiting a skylight under repair, a weak spot they clearly knew about. Armed with shotguns, they move like ghosts, tying up three security guards with surgical precision, no injuries, no alarms triggered. In under an hour, they loot 18 paintings, including a Rembrandt worth millions, plus other masterpieces by Rubens, Bruegel, and Corot, alongside jewelry and figurines. Total value then, $2 million, now over $20 million. They vanish into the night, leaving nothing but empty frames and a stunned city. The evidence points to a professional job. A 1972 Montreal Gazette report details how the thieves used smoke bombs to confuse guards and knew the museum's layout cold, suggesting insider knowledge. Police found a stolen van nearby, but no fingerprints, no DNA. Pre-forensic era tech didn't help. Ransom notes surfaced weeks later, demanding $500,000, but negotiations fizzled when the thieves ghosted. Theories exploded. Was it the mafia, known for art trafficking in the 70s? A 2013 CBC investigation uncovered links to Montreal's underworld, naming figures like Frank Santos Cotroni, a mobster with a rap sheet, but no hard proof. Others whispered about international smugglers, as stolen art often moves through black markets in Europe or South America. A 2022 X post by a true crime sleuth claimed one painting briefly surfaced in a Swiss auction, but the lead went cold. The museum's own records, reviewed in a 2017 audit, admit security was lax, no cameras, minimal alarms, making it a thief's dream. Despite FBI and Interpol probes, none of the 18 paintings have resurfaced, likely stashed in private collections or destroyed. Why no convictions? Witnesses saw nothing, the trail vanished, and Montreal's police, stretched thin post-1970 FLQ crisis,
couldn't crack it. Ex-users in 2025 still debate, was it a heist for profit or a grudge against the art world? The lack of closure is maddening. It's not just about stolen paintings. It's about a cultural theft that robbed Canada of its heritage. The Montreal Museum tightened security, but the scars remain. This case screams a hard truth. When greed and opportunity collide, even masterpieces can vanish without a trace. The Rembrandt's still out there, hidden in some shadowy vault. And it's on us to keep asking questions, to keep digging, because the truth behind the heist is waiting to be found if we can just peel back the layers of this perfectly executed crime.
6. Peter Verigans' assassination. 1924, British Columbia. It's October 29, 1924, just past midnight, and a train snakes through the desolate, moonlit peaks of Kettle Valley, carrying Peter Verigin, the magnetic leader of the Doukhobors, a Russian sect of 8,000 souls who fled persecution to carve out a communal life in Canada's wilds. At 12:45 a.m., a cataclysmic explosion shatters the night, obliterating the passenger car in a fireball that hurls twisted steel and bodies across the snowy tracks. Verigin, 65, his young companion Mary Strelyaev, and 7 others are dead, incinerated in a blast so precise it screams murder. A 1924 RCMP report confirms dynamite, no accident, but a calculated hit. Verigin was a titan, worshipped for his spiritual fire, but feared for his iron rule, stirring enemies like embers in a storm. Who wanted him gone? First, rogue Doukhobors, the radical sons of freedom, despised his push to blend with Canadian ways. A 1995 book, The Doukhobors, by George Woodcock, cites 1924 letters brimming with their rage. Second, the Soviet regime, stung by the Doukhobors' defection, had spies in Canada. CSIS archives from the 1920s hint at their shadow, though no smoking gun links them. Third, locals loathed the Doukhobors' strange customs, vegetarianism, nudist protests, calling them a blight per a 1924 Vancouver Sun piece. The evidence is maddening. Dynamite traces, no fingerprints, no witnesses, just a wrecked car in a frozen valley per a 1924 coroner's inquest. The RCMP, crippled by crude forensics and a remote crime scene, hit a wall. A 1950 inquest, reported in the Nelson Daily News, dug up nothing new. A 2018 CBC podcast, The Doukhobor Legacy, unearthed oral tales of an insider's betrayal, maybe a follower turned traitor, but names dissolved into silence. Why no justice? Canada tiptoed around the Doukhobors and Soviet tensions, a 1925 memo reveals, letting the case rot. The blast's pinpoint accuracy, a bomb in Verigin's car, screams a mastermind, yet the killer slipped free. This wasn't just murder. It was a wound to a community, splintering the Doukhobors, some turning radical per a 2001 UBC study. Verigin's death haunts the valleys where his people still prey. With no DNA, no wreckage left, the truth hides in fading archives. This is a call to chase answers, to expose how hate and power silenced a leader. The Kettle Valley explosion echoes, daring us to uncover who lit the fuse and why. Because justice, even a century later, demands to be heard.
The Babes in the Woods murders. 1953, British Columbia. It's January 14th, 1953, and Albert Tong, a Vancouver Parks Board worker, is clearing brush near Beaver Lake in Stanley Park when his foot crunches on something unnatural. He scrapes back leaves and a woman's green oilskin raincoat to reveal a nightmare. The tiny skeletons of 2 children laid head to toe in a chillingly precise line, their skulls cracked by a shingle weaver's hatchet found nearby. Scattered around are haunting relics: 2 children's aviation caps, a lunchbox with petrified food, a woman-sized 7.5-penny loafer, and a boy's bracelet with dog engravings. A 1953 Vancouver Sun report estimates the murders happened around 1947, the children aged 6 to 10. Initially, pathologists misidentified one as a girl, derailing the investigation for decades, until 1998 DNA tests by UBC's Dr. David Sweet confirmed both were brothers, sharing a father. In 2022, genetic genealogy cracked the case wide open. They were Derek, 7, and David D'Alton, 6, born in Vancouver to Eileen Bousquet, a Métis Russian mother who died in 1996. A 2022 CBC report reveals their family lived near Stanley Park, and police suspect a close relative, likely Eileen, killed them. Though her granddaughter Cindy insists Eileen was gentle, an animal lover, incapable of such horror. A 1953 witness, per a Vancouver Province article, saw a woman with a hatchet and 2 boys enter the woods, emerging alone, missing a shoe and coat, eerily matching the crime scene. Yet, no arrests were made. The killer likely died 25 years ago, says a 2022 VPD statement. The investigation was crippled by 1940s forensics, no DNA, no cameras, and a baffling silence. No missing children reported, despite the boys attending Henry Hudson Elementary. A 2018 CBC podcast notes the family was told the boys were taken by social services, a claim with no records. Why the cover-up? Poverty, stigma, or something darker? The bones, once displayed at the Vancouver Police Museum, were cremated in the 1990s, leaving only DNA fragments. This isn't just a murder. It's a gut-wrenching tragedy of 2 boys, erased from history, their story buried under leaves and lies. The hatchets rust, and those tiny aviation caps scream for justice. But the truth remains elusive, locked in Stanley Park's whispers. We must keep digging, questioning why no one searched for Derek and David. Because their names, now reclaimed, demand we expose the monster who stole their lives and the system that let them fade.
8. Highway of Tears, 1969 to present, British Columbia. It's 1969, and Highway 16, a lonely ribbon of asphalt winding from Prince Rupert to Prince George through dense forests and remote First Nations communities, opens to connect British Columbia's rugged north. But by 1998, when Florence Nazil coins the name Highway of Tears at a terrace vigil, it's infamous for a sinister reason. At least 18 women, mostly Indigenous, have vanished or been found murdered along its path since 1969, with activists like Mary Teegee estimating up to 50 per a 2016 CBC report. The victims, like Gloria Moody, a 26-year-old Nuhulk mother raped and beaten to death in 1969, or Aila Sarik Oje, a 14-year-old found in a ditch in 2006, were often hitchhiking, forced by poverty and no public transit, as noted in the 2006 Highway of Tears Symposium report. The RCMP's Project E-PANA, launched in 2005, identified 18 cases from 1969 to 2006, including Alberta Williams, whose bloodied clothes were ignored by police per a 2016 CBC podcast. Only a few cases, like Colleen McMillan's, linked to serial killer Bobby Jack Fowler via DNA in 2012, have answers. Most remain unsolved, with RCMP Sergeant Wayne Clary admitting in 2016 that time and lost evidence, like destroyed files exposed in a 2015 Denham report, may bury justice forever. Systemic issues scream through the data. A 2014 Inter-American Commission report notes Indigenous women are 12 times more likely to be murdered than others, fueled by racism, residential school trauma, and economic despair. A 2019 national inquiry demanded better transit and justice reforms, yet a 2023 Vancouver Sun article reports ongoing disappearances like Chelsea Qua's death in 2022. Recent efforts, $10.2 million for highway webcams and bus shelters per a 2023 Vancouver Sun, and 5 5G towers installed by Rogers in December 2024, aim to curb dangers. But billboards from Carrier Sekani Family Services in 2023 still warn, keep Highway 16 safe. This isn't just a crime spree. It's a national shame,
exposing how Canada failed Indigenous women like Tamara Chipman, whose 2005 disappearance haunts her aunt's 2020 totem pole memorial. The highway's isolation, where you can drive 15 minutes without seeing a soul, per a 2021 Al Jazeera feature, shields killers. We must demand accountability, amplify the MMIWG movement, and keep digging for truth. Because these women's names, Ramona, Delphine, Ayla, deserve justice, and the highway of tears must stop claiming lives. 9. Lisa Marie Young's disappearance. 2002, British Columbia. It's June 29, 2002, and 21-year-old Lisa Marie Young, a vibrant Flaoquiat First Nation woman with a contagious laugh and dreams of a fresh start, leaves her parents' Nanaimo home at 11 p.m. to celebrate her friend Dallas Hulley's birthday at Jungle Nightclub. Despite a packed week, moving into her own apartment, starting a new call center job, Lisa joins friends, unaware she's stepping into a night that'll erase her from the world. After the club closes at 2:30 a.m., a man, Christopher William Adair, offers Lisa and her friends a ride in his red Jaguar to a house party in southern Nanaimo, then to another in Cathars Lake. Hungry and vegetarian, Lisa accepts Adair's offer to grab food around 4:30 a.m. That's when everything shatters. She calls Hulley, panicked, saying, "Dallas, I don't know what's going on. This guy won't bring me back. We're in a driveway on Bowen Road." Her voice laced with fear, per a 2019 CBC report. Her phone's last signal pings in Departure Bay. Then, silence. By July 1st, her parents, Dawn and Joanne, grow frantic when Lisa, who always checked in, doesn't answer. The RCMP's Serious Crime Unit takes over, suspecting foul play, but searches in Nanaimo's wilds yield nothing, per a 2023 Nanaimo News Bulletin. Adair, questioned in July 2002, tells Joanne, "I can't say where she is, I'm sorry," yet walks free. A person of interest, with no charges. His grandmother's Jaguar seized but released, per a 2019 Wikipedia entry. The family's pain fuels action. Joanne's father, Flaoquiat Chief Moses Martin, leads tribal search and rescue across Coombs to Tofino, while Purolator prints thousands of posters, per a 2021 True Crime Files podcast. A 2020 Island Crime podcast hitting Canada's top charts sparks new tips, but no breakthroughs. Joanne's health crumbles under the stress, leading to her 2017 death, per a 2023 Global News report. A 2022 $50,000 reward for Lisa's remains goes unclaimed. Systemic failures, delayed police response, lost evidence mirror the crisis of missing Indigenous women, with 1,200 to 4,000 cases nationwide, per a 2023 Grunge article. Lisa's annual vigil, marching from Nanaimo's RCMP station, keeps her name alive, per a 2018 CBC report. This isn't just a missing person case. It's a scream for justice, exposing Canada's neglect of Indigenous lives. Lisa's flower band tattoo and brown eyes haunt us, urging relentless pursuit of truth to bring her home.
10. Virginia Sampare's disappearance. 1971, British Columbia. It's October 14th, 1971. A crisp fall evening in Gitsegukla, a Gitsan First Nation village nestled in the Skeena Valley's rugged embrace, where 18-year-old Jean Virginia Jinny Sampare, a shy, almond-eyed dreamer, stands near a railroad overpass on Highway 16 with her cousin, Alvin. Jinny, the second youngest of 6, loved singing teasing songs and playing nurse with her sisters, worked at a cannery, and planned to move to Terrace with her brother, Rod, per a 2009 Vancouver Sun article. That night, she's upset. Her boyfriend vanished weeks earlier. His body later found drowned in the Skeena River, per a 2019 CBC report. When the chilly air bites, Alvin pedals home to grab a jacket, promising to return. But as he nears the highway, a car door slams and Jinny is gone, swallowed by the night, per a 2009 Vancouver Sun. Her mother reports her missing the next morning. But the Gitsegukla band office delays, mistakenly insisting they must wait, delaying the RCMP's involvement until October 16th. 8 days of desperate searches, RCMP, civil defense, and locals scouring dense bush, rivers, and mountains yield nothing, not a scrap of clothing, per a 1971 Vancouver Sun. A helicopter joins on October 27th, but the trail is cold by October 28th. The RCMP's 1985 claim of drowning, based on a band chief's unproven report, is scrapped after family protests, per a 2019 Wikipedia entry. DNA from Jinny's siblings, collected in 2006, tested against Robert Picton's farm, yields no match, per a 2009 Vancouver Sun. Her case, reopened in 2001, remains unsolved, with Corporal Don Rigglesworth noting no proof of suicide, foul play, or relocation, per the same source. Jinny's disappearance, one of the earliest on the Highway of Tears, where Indigenous women vanish at chilling rates, exposes systemic failures, poverty, no transit, and police delays, per a 2016 CBC. Her sister Winnie, weeping at the bridge yearly, pleads for closure, while Rod scans Vancouver's crowds for her face, per a 2009 Vancouver Sun. This isn't just a missing person case. It's a scream against the neglect of Indigenous lives. With 1,200 to 4,000 MMIWG cases nationwide, per a 2014 Inter-American Commission report. Jinny's delicate features haunt us, demanding we confront the highway's predators and a nation's apathy. We must keep her name alive, push for answers, because somewhere in the Skeena's whispers, the truth about Jinny Sampare waits to be found.